So on February 19th of 2021, you'll be releasing your second album, which is called, is it The Cyclic Reckoning?
Cyclic. I don't know how to say it. You can say it however you want.
Let's go with Cyclic.
Yeah, I think that's how Dill
That
says
sounds
it.
sicker.
So if Dill says cyclic, I'm going to assume it's cyclic.
Tell me how this album came together.
Well, after Dwell, we kind of realized that we figured out what we sound like. Like we know what makes us tick. So we were like, so what do we do with this next record? Do we start, going off the rails now? And I don't know, we just kind of thought about it and it's like, you know what, we should just do something honest. Like we should just try and not push it to be too angry or anything. Because like all three of us at that point, I think we were going through some stuff, in our personal lives on our own. So we were all in a pretty somber state of mind. So we just kind of let that dictate how it went. And so, yeah, it's a lot less, I guess like staccato-y, techy type stuff. There's a lot more vibe. It's a little slower. It flows a little more. It's less, yeah, it's less angular and it's a little more emotional and heartfelt, for lack of a better term, I guess. So yeah, it was just us kind of trying to channel some more like different kinds of negative emotion into what we do instead of it just being full on angry like our stuff was for the most part up until now.
What do you mean when you say you discussed within the band about whether or not you were going to go off the rails?
Oh well, I'm chances are as we go on, we're probably going to end up messing with a lot more and more crazy stuff, and it's something that we kind of knew early on. And like I was saying, that with our first record, we kind of wanted it to be the base of our sound. So then whenever we do crazy stuff, we can keep it, within the realm of what our sound is without it, going so off the rails that we're like a completely different band. So yeah, it was just a matter of like, we were just kind of talking like, do we want to getting crazy now, or is it too soon? And we felt like it was a little too soon. So we just kind of tried to do something the opposite direction, almost like make it a little more safer and make it something that just like felt right instead of trying to start to go even more crazy yet. It just doesn't feel like it's time yet for us to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious,
Okay.
what form would going off the rails take for you guys? Would it mean bringing in other instrumentation, other forms of music?
I don't really know. I mean, probably both of those things, because I know especially Jay, our drummer, has been talking about trying a lot of, kind of weird ethnic percussion on future stuff. And we've been talking about maybe doing some more like off kilter rhythmic type stuff, like maybe, not like to the Meshuggah level, but just, some stuff that just make it feel more unpredictable. And yeah, and maybe bring in some other genres of music. Like I don't really listen to a lot of metal anymore. I listen to primarily like kind of like folk and singer songwriter type stuff, I guess. My favorite band is this band Woven Hand, which is like this psychedelic kind of neo folk type band, at least in their early stuff. They're more of like a psych rock band now, but yeah, just kind of bring in more ideas from other places, see if we can make them work, instead of, because we don't want to just like, we like this band, let's do this riff here. You know what I mean? Like, we want to try and figure out ways to make it work and make it flow. But yeah, I mean, we just, we don't want to get stale, because if I kept writing the same songs over and over again, it would get stale for me. And so we want to keep evolving, and we just want to keep trying to find more things we like to do as a band and see where it takes us.
Now, typically, how do your songs come together? Do you guys write as a band, or do you bring in pieces of music to the band and you guys work out the arrangements yourselves afterwards?
So as of now, just because I live in Colorado right now, the way we do it is I write all the music myself, and then I send, not the lyrics or the vocals or anything. That's all, Dill does all that. And then I send the demo songs to them, and on In Passing, they just kind of played the parts I wrote for them. On Dwell, they mixed up a little bit, but on this new record, Cyclic, they completely just like deleted what I wrote for them and completely rewrote their parts. So, like, early on, I guess they were having trouble into it, but now that they're comfortable with how I do things, now they're just completely taking over their parts, and I'm stoked on it. That's honestly what I'm more excited about than anything with this new album, is the fact that Dill and Jay really made it their own.
Now, you guys recorded this album yourselves, right?
Yeah, we record everything ourselves, and Dill produces everything we do. Everything we've done, Dill produced. Dill mastered this one too. We've had other people master our stuff in the past, but Dill was just so picky about the way this mix came together that when we tried having other people master it, it just didn't work. So Dill mastered it himself. And yeah, I record my guitars, just at home. I just have a nice set of mics and I just mic up my amp. And the drums we usually do other places. On In Passing, we actually recorded them in like a really nice church. Like, you ever see like those super nicely like sounding churches with all the paneling and stuff on the walls? Because yeah, Dylan's uncle has a church and he let us record in his really nice like mega church type of thing. And then Dwell, we just recorded like in our practice space. But on Cyclic, we recorded the drums at like an actual studio, and it made a huge difference tracking them in the studio. We tracked to this place, the library in Minneapolis, and it's such a cool studio because there's no sound paneling. It's just bookshelves. It's just books upon books upon books. And they act like sound paneling because, they're all soft cover and stuff, so they absorb everything. It sounded amazing in there. But yeah, aside from the drums, we just record everything at our respective houses, and then Dill, mixes and masters everything just on his iMac. We just try to keep it as DIY again.
So you guys recorded this entire album remotely.
I flew out. I flew out just for drum tracking this because I wanted to see what it's like to record in a fancy studio. So that was cool. But yeah, otherwise we do everything remote. Like, the Dill's always there to track the drums because he's either, he's miking them up himself, or he wants to be there just to hear how they sound, so he knows. So, because he's going to be mixing it, so he can like, say where he wants mics and things like that. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, we just record everything on our own. So everything that we've done, I recorded the guitars in Colorado, and everything else was recorded in Minnesota.
I'm curious if working in your own locations comes with its own set of challenges.
Well, the big challenge is just playing shows, because I have to fly out and we have to, try and get months worth of practice into a few days. And it's never easy. And our playing is never right where we want it to be as far as, just how we play on stage. But I don't know, aside from that, I mean, even if I were to live in Minnesota, we'd probably still track everything on our own. Like, I'd probably just still record my guitars at my house or whatever. So as far as that stuff goes, I don't think there's really any challenges. I don't think we would do it any different, even if I lived within vicinity of those guys.
I mean, I've spoken with a number of DIY artists who record on their own, and it really seems like in this past year, bands who have their own studios or who record in their own practice spaces have a leg up on everyone else, just because they're not as affected by the social distancing rules and things like that.
Yeah, that's true too. There've been a lot of bands that I've been seeing, and they've been posting about, how they've been aching to get studio time. And I'm just at home like, you fucker. You don't need that shit. Just spend a few $100s on some nice mics and you're set. That's all you need. You got your own gear at your house. Just use it. Just mic it up pretty. You'll be fine.